recently, I was just sitting here I was playing around with this matcha latte drink, and I put some honey in it, and it made me think back to a reel I did on Instagram a while back where I made my hot tea straight in my honey jar because I had just a little bit of honey left. It's like too small for you to get out, but also you don't want to be wasteful, especially today. We don't want to waste anything, right? So I made my hot tea right in the jar, and I was like, simple, use everything, it's great. I have since learned something, and I was reminded as I was putting honey in my drink that I needed to give you all a little health food update, because if I learn some things health-wise along my journey, then I definitely want to share that with you. So I have since learned that honey, being an amazing superfood, healthy food, it has so many beneficial properties: antibacterial, antiviral, all these things. It's amazing. But when it is heated, it becomes toxic. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And I didn't believe it at first either. I was super skeptical, because how many times have we been told by people with an agenda that something we know to be super healthy is all of a sudden bad for you, or you should be skeptical of it or fearful of it or whatever. And we know that stuff is nonsense. So I was super skeptical, thinking this is one of those situations where somebody's trying to convince me that a food I know to be healthy is somehow bad for me. So I did more digging and read several different articles and some studies and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's for real. It's for real. So honey is the bees' winter food. That is what they will eat on in the winter. And if you were to heat honey and then later feed it to the bees, it would kill them. Did you know that? I didn't know that. It would kill them, because when we heat the honey, we take something that's super amazing in its raw natural form, and it changes the chemical properties of the honey, and it becomes toxic. Now, obviously, you're not going to just like drop dead if you heat honey and drink it or eat it in something or whatever. But what do toxins do in your body over time? It starts to affect your health, your cells, all those things. Toxin buildup affects literally everything in your body. You're putting yourself at risk for cancer and other things. So when we know something is toxic, we try to avoid it, right? I know some people are like, I don't care, everything in moderation. But would you take poison in moderation daily? And sometimes we can kind of have that attitude without realizing what we're really saying. You don't want to daily poison your body. So if you know something is toxic, it's definitely not something that we want to be consuming intentionally, or definitely not on a regular basis. And just to clarify, when I made this, I'm a huge fan of iced coffee and colder drinks most of the time, especially this time of year. So I did put honey in this, but I waited until my coffee and everything was skin temperature. It was body temperature. Then I put my honey in, and then I put it over ice and chilled it for a little bit. So I did wait, and that is what made me think to inform you guys on that. So not being a hypocrite here, I didn't put honey in it when it was hot. So yeah, anyway, just to clarify that. So what do we do then with our hot tea if you're a big hot tea drinker? I'm not a huge hot tea drinker. I do love honey and I do love tea, but I'm definitely a Southern girl. I love my sweet iced tea. I'm not a huge hot tea drinker, more so in the winter. I do like a cup of hot tea once in a while in the winter. But if you're a big hot tea drinker, what do you do if you know that honey is not the best thing to put in your hot tea? And if that information is out there, bigger question, why is honey still put in so many things that are heated, from things that we bake to our hot tea, all these things, and it's just mainstream, a normal thing to do. Weird. So what can you do? I like to use, if I can't use honey for whatever reason in something, my go-to alternative is actually maple syrup. And I'm talking the real stuff, maple syrup, the real thing, not that pancake syrup junk that you get in the grocery store. But I will use just a little bit of maple syrup. In most things, it does not give it a maple flavor, I don't feel like. I feel like it just is a really good sweetener, adds that sweetness to it. I actually feel like honey has more of a flavor to it than maple syrup does. Another option would be your like organic raw sugar. I would use that in moderation, and if I would prefer, for me, I would prefer maple syrup over sugar. But that is because sugar, even your organic raw, like good version of sugar, sugar is just inflammatory and by nature, and it lowers your immune system, so it puts you at risk for several hours. It allows things to kind of come in and overpower your immune system. So if you can avoid sugar in things, I would. But that is one of those things that in moderation, a little bit here and there, it's gonna be okay. Just go for the healthiest version of that. Another option would be coconut sugar. Now for me, I love using coconut sugar in things, especially in baking, because I don't feel like it changes the taste. Often in baking, I'll use a combination of maple syrup and coconut sugar because coconut sugar tends to be a little bit less sweet. So I'll add a little bit of maple syrup to it just to up that sweetness a little bit. But when it comes to tea, I've tried the coconut sugar, and that is the one time that I feel like coconut sugar really does alter the flavor, and I'm not a fan. So you can play around with it. You can decide what you like the best, but I just figured I would share that with you, that honey turns from this amazing superfood, amazing health food, to a toxic substance when you heat it. So does that change your mind about honey? Is that going to make you think twice in the next time that you go to cook something, whether it be tea or whatever else that you would normally use honey in? How do you like to sweeten your tea, your hot tea? What are some things, what are your favorite sweeteners? So I would love to hear from you in the comments about how you like to sweeten things, and does this change your mind? Did you know this already? Is this new information for you? So anyway, have a happy Monday, and let me know your thoughts and your routines in the comments below.